So, many people may be wondering why I haven't posted a video in a long time, and even with my action figure reviews or whatever, and I just haven't been up to it. I haven't felt like I've had the time to do it. But tonight, I am ready to put this out there. So, this is a very difficult thing for me to talk about, but I've been debating on how to share this message for a long time. And share my story of what I had to go through with my schizoaffective disorder and all of that. So, going back to 2017, end of April, I had a lot of stressors before that. I was working 2 different jobs. One was cleaning the movie theater, and the other was teaching youth mentoring at 2 different locations, where I taught self-advocacy and stuff like that. And I wasn't realizing how hard everything had hit between studying, school, exams, and everything else that was going on in my life at that time. Working at the movie theater, not getting adequate sleep. My life felt like it was a mess, and I didn't know what was going on. But there was also a very dark presence around me at that time. Satan was hanging around my living space, and I couldn't see it. I couldn't tell that he was there. And so my brain ended up coming up with its own delusion. And tonight I heard the word religious delusion, and that's exactly what it was. I started to believe that I was the Holy Ghost, and there was just so much stuff to it. And I also had overdosed on Adderall. At this point in time in my life. And up until today, I had thought of voices in your head as just like audible voices that you can hear outside of the body. But I learned today that that's not the case at all. Your brain creates these voices, and I actually had an argument with myself in my head this weekend, which I'm not going to go into detail about because obviously that's not what this video is about. But I didn't realize what that had meant. I didn't realize any of it. And it wasn't until my best friend told me tonight, hey, you need to look at this. You need to know that it's not these audible voices outside of your head. It's in your head. And I was like, really? I never thought that way. I never thought of it that way. I always thought it was just hearing voices outside, nothing else. Anyway, back to my story. In April 2017, I had a mental breakdown. Complete mental breakdown. And I remember everything about it. I knocked my own father down, running out of the hospital. And he was the one that tackled me down to the ground. And he said, I brought you into this world, and I'm the only one that can take you out. And for a while, I resented my father for doing that. Because I was stuck in my delusional state. I had believed that what I had was real, and I was really caught up in it. So caught up that my mind wasn't me. I wasn't me. I think being able to look back is actually a good thing. And taking the time tonight to talk about this is a good thing. So, I stayed a few weeks in the mental hospital. And then, the next thing I knew, I was living down in St. George in these group homes. Super controlled. Couldn't go anywhere or do anything outside of what they would allow. I couldn't go anywhere on my own. And I think that it was a lot for me. And I hadn't caught it, as far as what I was going through. I didn't know what I was going through. I was easily drained. I could see it in my face. Friends of mine could see it in my face. My cousins came to visit me and they could see it in my face. And it turned out that I was over-medicated, which happens a lot in these cases. So the day came for me to come back from St. George to where I live now. I'm not going to disclose that. But that day came, and we came back. My old boss brought me back, and I noticed on my way back that I was having a struggle with pulling my pants up and all of that. And then I got back. And next thing I know, I can't do a thing. I couldn't feed myself. As embarrassing as it is to say, I couldn't wipe my own butt. I couldn't dress myself. I couldn't do any of that when I came back from St. George. And the medication had really got me to where I wasn't able to do anything. In fact, if you ask a lot of my friends and people around at that time, I looked like a robot. And it was tough. And something that to this day I can't just not talk about. It's about time that I finally said something and put it out there. Because someone else is probably struggling with something similar. And I want them to know that it's all going to turn out. But anyway, I started going to a program here. And they kept telling me, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And there were moments where I was so ready to give up. But I had so much support behind me. If I could name names in this video, I would, but I'm not going to, for their own protection. For me, I'm honestly not worried what happens from here. Anyway, to finish up, I was able to rebuild and get back to being able to feed myself, dress myself, wipe myself, and all of that. It took time. And it was tough. This is probably the toughest thing I've ever had to say to a camera. But I feel like it needs to be out there. And a few years ago, I wouldn't have been ready to put this out. But now, looking back at it, and being able to say, I've been through this. And I know I'm not the only one out there that was struggling. I think we get so caught up in ourselves, we get overthinking, and the next thing you know, it's as easy as anything to have a psychotic break. Having a lot going on all at once around you makes it easy. Having stressors going on constantly makes it easy. And putting myself out there right now seems so hard. But